Hey, what's going on, everybody? On YouTube, Steve here, Raiken Profit, RaikenProfit.com. Really excited for today's video because I'm coming back to you guys with an updated version of a previous video I created covering 11 beginner mistakes to avoid when you're selling on eBay. So if you're brand new to eBay, or maybe you've only been in the game for maybe 90 days, maybe even up to 6 months, this video is going to help you out tremendously because I've literally compiled 11 of the most common beginner mistakes that you need to avoid. So this is really going to help you guys out. Right now we are live. We got a bunch of people pouring on in. Matt Dresner, Arbitrage Architect. We got Just 10 Pac-Man coming in. Good to see everybody. But let's dive right into the meat and potatoes of the show. And we'll cover this information. Then I'll come back and answer some questions. So big mistake number one that a lot of people make, and don't think I'm judging. I've made a lot of these mistakes myself. You know, I've been selling on eBay for over 5 years now, so I've learned a lot, had a lot of successes, made a lot of mistakes. So mistake number one is a lot of people, when they first get started, they're like so excited that they're coming across profitable items that they essentially buy everything that may have a little bit of profit. So say you come across, I don't know, a pen, right? And you notice that it's selling on eBay for maybe $12 and you can get it for $3. They buy it. But what they don't realize is maybe after shipping and fees and different things, they might only make $2 or $3 profit. So mistake number one is buying anything with any amount of profit. You know, as time goes on, you're gonna create rules for yourself. For me, after about 6 to 8 months of starting my clothing business at the time, I made a rule for myself, and it was $10 minimum. Because if you don't have at least a $10 minimum profit, at least for me, from my experience, I was just buying too many items. I couldn't list it all. And like I've said in previous videos, my house, while I was living at home with my parents back then, turned into essentially like a JCPenney warehouse. So my death piles were growing, which was unlisted inventory. You know, I was selling items for not much money, and I was just pretty much working my own job for like minimum pay. So that's a big mistake right there. Number two, vague eBay descriptions. One thing that I've learned over the years is the more information you give in your description, whether that's your title or the little description box that's under the title, or your actual description where you have a bunch of characters, or even your item specifics, the more information you give, it's not only going to help with conversions, but it's also going to lessen the amount of returns that you get as well. So don't be vague with your descriptions. Give as much information as possible, right? If it's got a cool little embroidery, mention that. They might not see all the pictures. If there's a flaw or an issue, mention that. Take measurements, right? Mention that as well. Any of the details that you can, mention it. It's going to help you in the long run. Mistake number three, shipping from home. Now, this is quite the beginner mistake. Don't ship your items, not shipping from home, right? That's the mistake right there. So let me reiterate, shipping from home is great. You want to ship from home. I'm sorry. You want to print your labels off of eBay because you're going to get discounts and it's quicker and you could check all the different rates for the carrier. So that's not a mistake. The mistake is not knowing that you can print your labels from home and going to the post office. That's a big mistake for a couple of reasons. Number one, you're going to pay more money. Number two, you're going to have to upload tracking directly to, you're going to have to take the tracking number, bring it back to eBay, and then upload it, which is time consuming. And three, waiting in lines. You're going to waste your time. You're going to piss people off. I can still remember when, I had scaled up my eBay business to 10, 15, 20 items per day. And I was so new, I would go in to the post office and I was waiting in line and I didn't know what I was doing. And like, it would take me like 30 to 40 minutes. And the faces on these customers, oh, they wanted to kill me, and I don't blame them. Mistake number four, no inventory system. So there's a couple different ways that you could organize your inventory. For me personally, I sell a lot of clothing. So I had a hanging rack system. So there were like commercial racks that I had. There were multiple tiers. And what I would do is I would take a hanger, put a little piece of masking tape on it, and then I would associate a letter and a number with it. So then I would put that in order. So maybe tier one would be A through A50, then B through B50, C, D, so on and so forth. Put everything in line. When something's sold, I would obviously have that inventory number in the listing ahead of time. So when it's sold, I would go find it. It was there. And this is a big mistake for a lot of new sellers. once they get up to maybe 100, 200 items, depending on what you're selling, it can become more complicated quicker. But they scale too quickly and they can't find their items. And what happens when you can't find an item that you sold? You freak out. And then you have that message that you send to the customer saying, well, either A, making up a lie, which I'm not going to lie to you. I've made up lies in the past when I was a beginner because I was so ashamed. Or B, you have that dreaded conversation saying, hey, listen, we've lost the inventory and it hurts. So create an inventory system. Again, with clothing, you can either go with the tier system. If you're selling anything else, you can create a system with shelves or even a bin system. If you go on to YouTube and type in Raiken Profit inventory system, I've got a lot of videos, quite a few videos sharing exactly how I did it. So be sure to check that out. Mistake number 5. This is a big mistake right here for beginner sellers on eBay. And that's selling items with a slow shipping time. So there's a couple ways you can screw this up. Number 1, doing like 3 to 4 to 5 day shipping times. And number 2, choosing slow shipping methods, like going with parcel or going with, I know UPS and FedEx have some slow methods. You may be able to save $1 or $2. And sometimes, the only way I would advise going with some of those slower shipping times, like through FedEx and stuff, is if you have like a big heavy item and there's like no option, because sometimes it'll cost you $50, $100 more if you go priority. So if you're selling smaller items, pay the extra $1 if you have to go priority. You really want to avoid parcel and some of these slower methods as well. I mean, for the most part, I would stick with priority if you can. And there's a lot of ways you could ship through priority, right? Flat rates, padded mailer envelopes. There's regional boxes. Of course, it's not priority, but first class mail, which I believe is 3 to 5 days. So people want their items quick, especially with Amazon FBA. Well, Amazon in general taking over and gathering a lot of the market share. People are accustomed to that 2-day, free shipping. You don't have to go free. People kind of expect to pay shipping on eBay, but quick shipping is key in this economy. People want their items now. Number 6, this pertains to photography. I notice a lot of new eBay sellers, they're really concerned with photography, and it's important. But a lot of people go out and spend a lot of money on cameras when the reason why their pictures aren't coming out really good is a couple reasons. The number one reason is their lighting is poor. So they're trying to take pictures in a poorly lit environment. And number 2, their background is very cluttered. It's not clear. If you get really good lighting and you have like a nice clean background, even if it's just like against the wall, if you're shooting with a mannequin or like on a nice white table, good lighting and a clean background, it doesn't matter if your camera sucks. The pictures are going to come out pretty good, actually, especially if you do a little post-production inside of eBay and clean it up and increase the contrast and lighting a little bit. So that's the mistake right there. Don't go out as a brand new eBay seller and buy this expensive Canon 70D, $1,000 or T3i. Really, in 2017, moving on into 2018, if you're watching this video, if you have an iPhone or if you have any like Android device or smartphone made within the last couple of years, that'll do fine. And personally for me, I actually prefer to list via the phone, the cell phone, versus actually, having to shoot on a camera and then, putting the memory card in and uploading it and doing all that. I actually prefer listing on the phone. And I think the eBay app is great for listing on the phone. So that's definitely a big mistake. I see someone in the comments right now, Kevin Hansen. What's up, Kevin? Saying iPhone pics do great. Hey, came out of the horse's mouth. Number 8. No, actually, number 7. Mistake number 7. This is really, really big, and this is obvious, but if you're an intermediate or an advanced seller, this is definitely obvious. Not getting back to emails, customer emails quickly, right? If somebody asks you a question and they say, "Hey, I'm interested in that Pendleton, but can you let me know if the condition's good, and also can you measure the shoulder measurement for me?" Waiting more than even 8 to 12 hours, really, especially a day. If you wait more than a day, you're going to be in trouble. Number 1, you're going to piss the person off. And they're probably not going to shop from you. And number 2, you're going to lose the sale, right? People, you're in business. You have to treat this as a business if you want to make real money. Ignoring your customer questions is one of the quickest ways to lose out on the sale. And to go a step further, sometimes if you avoid the question, because there's been times where I've just missed a question, they'll go ahead and they'll buy it and then they'll return it and say it didn't fit, or it wasn't in the condition that I wanted it to be in. And you could have avoided that by answering the question. So that's definitely something that you want to stay on your game with. Eric is saying communicating with customers quickly is very important. It's key. It's very, very important. It's time consuming. It's not always the funnest thing to do in the world, especially when you have a ton of listings or you want to go out sourcing. I'm never thrilled, to be honest, when I see questions in the inbox, right? But it's an opportunity to gain the trust of your seller, to make them happy, answer a question, and make the sale. So it's definitely really important. Number 8, this is a big mistake a lot of new sellers on eBay make, is they go with the penny auctions. I hate penny auctions. I've done a few. I learned quite quickly that you're going to typically make a lot less money with, just for me personally, right? I'm not saying I hate auctions in general. I think it's a good mix. It's kind of like a investment portfolio, right? You don't want to invest all in like small caps or mid caps or just the large caps. You kind of want to divvy it up a little bit. And I find the same to be true with listing formats on eBay, but particularly these penny auctions, you're going to usually not make a lot of money. Usually, I don't know. I've done very poorly with them. I've seen a lot of people do it, but a lot of people think if I set it off at a penny, it's going to create a bidding war, and the price is going to go through the roof. It typically isn't like that unless you have something super duper rare. And if it's that rare, starting off at a penny or starting off at $20 typically won't make a difference. From my experience, I prefer buy it now, best offer. Again, if you have something really rare, something unique, huge market, ton of people fighting over it, maybe a penny auction will work for you. But in general, if you're selling clothing, shoes, electronics, just random thrifted sporting items and blenders and all different types of weird things that we come across at garage sales and thrift stores, typically you're going to want to set an auction at a price that you're okay with it only getting one bid at, and or maybe a higher price that you'd be really happy with. Buy it now with either a best offer or even bringing it down a little bit to get that buy it now and maybe even run a sale. So that's my 2 cents right there. Eric's saying never did a penny auction. I like buy it now. Justin is saying buy it now. Deb Smith says, I love bidding on auction pennies. And I think she does because she probably gets a good deal. So definitely really important right there. Mistake number 9 that I see beginner eBay sellers making, and this is huge. This is probably the most important thing. If you're a beginner, if you're new to eBay and you want to make some money, this is big, bigger than pretty much everything else I've mentioned. A lot of new eBay sellers, they list a couple of items and they wait for it to sell, and they don't list more until it sells, right? And that's a big mistake right there, because you've got to constantly be listing. I've noticed on eBay that the more items you list, it's almost like the algorithm, right? And if you're not sure what an algorithm is, that's the kind of like the invisible code that's essentially running eBay behind the scenes, all these different rules and stuff. It's kind of like the eBay robot that makes decisions and stuff. If you're listing on a consistent basis, that algorithm will favor you, I found, and you'll get more sales, you'll get more views. Listing's important, right? Because sometimes things are just slow, and then sometimes things are really, really hot. The more you list, typically, the more you're going to make. Now, there's going to be dry spells. There's going to be times where things just don't sell. But as time goes on, you're going to learn to buy items, obviously undervalued items that have a market and that have a good enough profit margin. And when they pop, they're going to pop for a nice profit and really make it worth your time. So, create a listing routine, whether it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or maybe just Fridays, but create that routine, stick to it. And I'm telling you right now, your sales are going to go through the roof. Number 10, this is a big mistake I notice a lot of eBay sellers make, is they state no returns. And no returns doesn't really do anything nowadays, because if a customer wants to get a return, they can easily hack the system through PayPal. And what I mean by that is just open up a PayPal case and typically get their money back. Now, I'm not an expert when it comes to PayPals and rules and regulations and returns, but in general, from my experience, like I've experimented with this, saying no returns. Buyers have been able to get returns quite easily. So by saying that you're not going to offer a return, it almost takes away confidence. Well, it definitely does. It takes away buyer confidence, and they think to themselves, why isn't this seller willing to take a return? Is there something wrong with it? Are they going to take my money and run? Why aren't they confident enough in the product to back it up with a return? You know, if you go to any retail store, there's typically returns, unless you're shopping for Halloween at a Halloween store. But for the most part, you know, in e-commerce and brick and mortar, returns are accepted and customers are used to it. So it's a little sketch to not offer returns. Customers can definitely get a return. Plus, if you want to get some of the benefits of being a top-rated seller and stuff, it's going to help you to be a, to be a top-rated seller. It's going to help you to make more sales and save some money on different fees and associations like that. So Kevin Hansen is saying, if I offer free shipping, I do require a restocking fee, so I'm not screwed on the postage costs if they do return something. Anyone else do this? When I was a full-time reseller, eBay seller, and I had office space and I had some employees and everything, and my inventory was over 1,000, I was offering a restocking fee, and I never really had much of a problem. Every now and then, maybe, I don't know, 0.5% of time, people would kind of get pissed off and try to fight it, and I would almost, in a sense, just not charge them if they really got angry. But a lot of people would pay it, and they would kind of understand that there's fees and stuff that were associated to it. So I don't know, maybe somebody who could help me out who's more on the cutting edge of eBay, if a restocking fee affects the top rated seller status or anything like that. I'm not sure. But I don't see it being anything that would really negatively impact you. But I would experiment with that. Let's move on to mistake number 11, and then we'll go through and reiterate and rehash on some of them. Mistake number 11 is listing items with no market. So what does this mean? A lot of new sellers will find something they think is cool, or they'll find something that looks unique, or they'll look it up on eBay and they'll see that nobody's selling it. So they might think they have themselves a treasure, something super rare. But from my experience selling thousands and thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars worth on eBay over the years, buying something that doesn't have a sales history, 99% of the time for me, right? Maybe you have a different experience, but for me, 99% of the time, if I look something up and I don't find it on eBay, it's typically not selling very well. And if I do experiment with listing it on eBay, it doesn't sell. So obviously there's other ways to do research and whatnot, and kind of look at different platforms to see if it's selling, looking on Amazon, worthpoint.com. What's that other website as well? Terapeak. There's different ways to gauge the market to see if there's a market there. But the big mistake is, buying items that people aren't already looking for, and items that already don't have a sales history, right? You could go onto eBay or via the eBay app on the mobile device, and you can look at what's called the sold listings, and you can see what exactly has sold and what hasn't sold. It'll be in red. What has sold will be in green, and the dates that it's sold. So you can get a really good idea quickly what's selling, how often it's selling, how many are selling, and you can really get a good grasp of the market, right? So make sure when you're buying things, especially when you're new, that it's selling fairly well, a couple a week, multiple ones per month. The big mistake is finding something that maybe sells once every 3 months or 6 months. It happens, right? So definitely something to keep in mind. So to kind of rehash and to go over these 11 beginner mistakes. Number one, a lot of beginners, they buy items with very small profits and their inventory starts to stack up. And when they do sell items, they don't make a lot of money and they waste a lot of time. It's very discouraging. Mistake number two, vague eBay descriptions. This will hurt you in multiple ways, right? Number one, you're going to lose out on conversions. People are going to be looking for information. They're going to be too lazy to message you, and you're not going to get the sale. And two, they get it. It's not what they wanted because you didn't describe it properly, and you get a return and lose money. Number three, big mistake is not shipping from home, not printing labels from home, getting all your items that sold, going to the post office and manually doing it there. Big mistake. You're going to lose money. You're going to lose time. Mistake number four, starting to scale your eBay business. Maybe you have 50, 100, 200 items, not creating an inventory system. Having an inventory system is going to save you time and it's going to save you stress. I'm telling you right now, I've made a mistake, and there was times where I couldn't find an item and I wanted to shoot myself. Number five, slow shipping times, choosing methods outside of priority, and trying to save a buck or two. And it really upsets customers. People are accustomed to getting items quickly. Amazon Prime is big. It's a movement. People want it now. They don't want to wait 12 days to get their item. Number 6, a lot of beginner eBay sellers that go out and they spend $300, $400, $500 on a camera, come home and they still take crappy pictures. Why? Because their lighting is off and the distraction, their backgrounds are distracting and it's not clear, it's not clean. And the key to taking really good pictures is just having really good lighting and a clean, distraction-free background. You can use an iPhone. I have an iPhone 6S Plus. I used to use an Android device. If you're going to use a point and shoot camera, spend like $100, $120. You get a Canon PowerShot. Those are definitely decent. Number 7, not responding to customers is a big mistake. Why? You're going to piss people off. They're not going to trust you, and they might even buy your item with an unanswered question and then return it because you didn't answer their question and it's not what they wanted. So answer your questions. It's going to build a relationship with them. And sometimes you can even upsell them to get more sales. Number 8, starting your auctions off via penny. A lot of beginners think that you started off as a penny, that it's going to run up to the moon. A lot of times, maybe only 1 or 2 people will bid, and that $40 Pendleton only sells for $11. It's a big mistake. I like buy it now. I like best offer. If you're going to go with an auction, start it at something that you're comfortable with it selling at if only 1 bid comes in. Mistake number 9 is not listing enough. If you don't take the shot, you ain't going to score the goal. So if you want to make that money, you got to list that item up on eBay. The more you list, typically the more you're going to make. And I've even found that the eBay algorithm favors sellers who list on a consistent basis. Mistake number 10, stating no returns, thinking that you're going to be able to sell that item and keep the profit, 100% guarantee. It's not true. If a seller really wants to get their money back, they can open up a claim through PayPal, and then bada bing, bada boom, the money's leaving the room. And mistake number 11 is listing items with no market. It's a big mistake. It's exciting to go out there and treasure hunt and find items that you think will sell for money, but if the proof isn't in the pudding, and what I mean by that is if the eBay sold listings aren't already showing a good market of items that have sold on a regular basis for that particular item, chances are you're probably not going to make that money over the long haul if you were to do that 100 times. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did enjoy this video, be sure to do me a big favor and smash that like button down below. Man, I just dropped 11 gold nuggets on you guys. So if you're just getting started with eBay, or maybe you're scaling, or maybe you know a friend who wants to get in it, send this video to them. Save them a lot of hassle, because I made all these mistakes. I did. I've made every single one of these. I'm looking through buying items with small profits. I did that. Vague descriptions. I did that. Shipping from home. I did that. No inventory system. Yep. I did it. Lost tons of items. Slow shipping time. Oh yeah, I did that. Bad lighting. If you watch some of my old videos, you know what I'm talking about. Not responding to customers. I didn't do that. Penny auctions. I experimented with that. Not listing enough. Ooh, that was a bad one. Stating no returns. I tried it. Didn't work. Listed items with no market. It didn't sell. So be sure to go through and watch this again. If you are new, dropped a lot of gold nuggets on you homies right there. We got Jenny Stevens saying, hey, let's give Raiken more likes. Jenny, that's what I'm trying to say. Maybe they'll listen to Jenny. So definitely appreciate that. Raiken for president. I am running for president. The world is going to go to the gutter. Eric says, great tips and nice Christmas tree. You like that? How creepy is this guy right here? I got Santa Claus on my tree right there. And I'm pretty excited because I've got the smoker grill going on outside right now. It's like 25 degrees, but I've got some beef tips and some chicken tenderloins cooking up in the smoker grill, doing it like Austin, Texas style here in Connecticut. So pretty pumped up about that. Steve Hill's asking, do you set a limit price for your best offer? If so, how much less than the list price do you make it? I don't set any limit prices. I just don't, right? If you have a really, really popular item that's getting 1 million best offers, then maybe you would set it to what you're comfortable selling it at. If for some reason or another it doesn't sell, but in that case, it probably will. So I don't waste my time doing that. There's better things for me to be doing with my time, and better things for you to be doing with your time. You can make a ton of money, watch everyone's videos, and see what's selling. But even more importantly, don't just watch these videos, go out and experiment and take action and learn for yourself. That's a really, really big mistake people make, is they just watch videos passively. You'll learn so much more just going out there and making mistakes on your own than just watching videos and doing nothing. So definitely go out there and make it happen. Robin says, smash that like button as always. Thank you for your help. Hey, definitely appreciate that. Killian, I definitely do love that thing. Just came up with the money to move to Amazon FBA. That's awesome. Smash that button for Creepy Santa. Gene says, I lost a $300 set of binoculars today to ship. Finally found them and shipped them. Scared the crap out of me. That's why it's important to have an inventory system. You know, go to Walmart, buy some, you know, some bins, put some numbers on front, numbers and letters like A10, A1, A2, A3 for each bin, and just make sure to mark it. There's actually a SKU, an inventory SKU that you can insert into your listing, so you can tell fairly quickly where it is when it sells. Yes, I do have a video on eBay inventory. Just type in Raiken inventory. I'm sure something will pop up in YouTube. Awesome. Everybody smashing that like button. I definitely appreciate that. So I want to just thank you guys for watching. I got to get rolling. I got some meat smoking outside, so I got to go get some dinner. But thank you for the love. Hopefully you guys are having a great December so far, crushing it in your sales. Have an amazing day. Smash that like button, subscribe. If you guys haven't already checked out the podcast, go over to RaikenProfit.com/iTunes. You could download any episode that you'd like and listen to it on the road. So appreciate the love. Have a great night and see you soon. Bye.